The phone rang at 7:12 a.m., and when Bumpy Johnson heard Illinois Gordon's trembling voice say, "They got Thomas," everything changed. What followed wasn't just revenge. It was a masterclass in methodical justice that would echo through Harlem for decades. September 15, 1946. Marcus Garvey Park, 6:23 inches the morning. The rope creaked in the autumn wind like a death song. Mrs. Dorothy Williams was walking her terrier when she saw the shape hanging from the oak tree. At first, she thought it was laundry blown into branches. Then she moved closer, and her screams shattered the morning quiet. Detective Robert Walsh arrived 24 minutes later. What he found made his 20 years on the NYPD feel meaningless. A young black man, no more than 20, hanging 3 feet off the ground. His Columbia sweatshirt was torn, khaki pants dirty from struggle, one shoe missing. The rope burns on his hands told of a desperate fight against 5 men. Pinned to his chest, "Coloreds know your place." Walsh's hand shook as he pulled the wallet from the victim's pocket. The Columbia ID read, "Thomas Johnson." Walsh felt his blood turn ice. Not Johnson. Please God, not that Johnson. His partner, Detective Sullivan, approached slowly. "Who is he?" "Thomas Johnson." Walsh's voice barely whispered. "We notify his uncle Ellsworth, Bumpy Johnson." Both detectives understood what storm was about to break over New York. They faced a choice that would define their careers and possibly their lives. "What do we write?" Sullivan asked. Walsh stared at evidence of murder that couldn't be ignored. He thought about justice, about everything he represented. Then he thought about reality. 5 white men had lynched a black teenager, and no 1,946 jury would convict them. "Suicide," Walsh said finally. "But the evidence?" "Suicide." Walsh's voice hardened. "We file paperwork, notify family, then stay away from whatever happens next." Sullivan nodded. "You think Bumpy will? Those 5 men just signed death warrants. Best thing we can do is look the other way." Thomas Johnson had been everything the KKK feared. Young, educated, successful, unafraid. At 19, he was studying pre-law at Columbia, wanting to fight injustice in courtrooms. His professors said he had one of the sharpest legal minds they'd encountered. Thomas lived with his mother Ruth, Bumpy's sister, on 135th Street. Every Sunday at 6 a.m., he walked through Marcus Garvey Park to Abyssinian Baptist Church. Same route, same time. Someone had been watching, planning. The KKK wasn't just Southern in 1946. Secret cells operated in northern cities. In Harlem, 15 men met every other Friday in a warehouse on East 98th Street. During the day, mechanics, clerks, factory workers, normal men with abnormal hatred. On September 13th, they drew straws, selecting 5 men for special assignment, reminding Harlem's black community that success could be taken away. The Chosen: Danny Morrison, Rick Sullivan, Lou Bennett, Frank Dorsey, Charlie Ross. They selected Thomas because he represented everything threatening their worldview: intelligence, ambition, education. That Sunday morning, the 5 waited in Marcus Garvey Park. At 6:05 a.m., Thomas entered carrying his Bible. He never made it to church. They emerged from shadows. No robes, no ceremony. Pure execution. Thomas saw them, tried running, made it 20 feet before Danny Morrison tackled him. Though small at 5'7" and 140 pounds, Thomas fought desperately. His glasses shattered, Bible scattered. But 5 grown men were stronger. Danny had brought rope, practiced tying nooses at previous meeting. "Please," Thomas gasped. "I didn't do anything. Please don't." Charlie Ross hesitated momentarily, seeing not a threat but someone's terrified child. But Danny was already throwing rope over a branch. They hoisted Thomas slowly, letting him feel the noose tighten. He kicked desperately, hands clawing rope, leaving burns visible when police found him. It took 4 minutes, 4 long minutes of struggling, suffocating, dying, while 5 men watched. When Thomas stopped moving, they pinned their message and walked away to normal Sunday routines, confident nothing would come of it. They had no idea what they'd unleashed. At 7:12 a.m., Bumpy was having breakfast when the phone rang. Illinois Gordon's voice shook so badly Bumpy could barely understand. "Boss, it's Thomas, Ruth's boy. They found him in Marcus Garvey Park. He's gone." Bumpy set down his coffee with deliberate care. "How? They're saying suicide, but boss, there was a note. KKK." Bumpy hung up without words. He sat still 10 minutes, mind replaying every Thomas memory. Teaching chess at 8, watching graduation, driving him to Columbia, seeing Ruth's pride as her son walked onto campus with lawyer dreams. Finally, Bumpy stood. "I'm going to Ruth's." Ruth lived 4 blocks away. When Bumpy arrived, she sat surrounded by neighborhood women offering comfort. But comfort doesn't work when your only child is lynched. Ruth looked up when Bumpy entered. Her eyes were destroyed. "They took my baby." Bumpy sat beside her, took her hand. "I know. Police said Thomas hung himself. My boy would never. He was going to be a lawyer. Change things. It wasn't suicide." "Then what? Murder? 5 men? KKK?" Ruth's body shook with sobs from somewhere primal. As Bumpy held his sister, he felt something he hadn't experienced in 20 years. Complete helplessness. Thomas was dead. No power could bring him back. But there was something he could do. "I'm going to handle this," Bumpy said quietly. "Handle what?" "The man who did this." "Will it bring Thomas back?" "No." "Then what's the point?" "Justice. Making sure no other Harlem mother buries her son because men in hoods brought Southern terrorism north." Ruth was quiet. "Then make them understand. Make them feel what I'm feeling." "I promise, sister, they'll understand." At 9 a.m., Bumpy stood under the oak tree. Police had removed Thomas's body but missed crucial evidence. Bumpy's trained eye caught 5 cigarette butts near the trunk, different brands smoked while men waited. He collected them. Lucky Strike, Camel, Chesterfield, Philip Morris, Old Gold. 5 boot prints in soft earth work boots, factory workers. A torn button, dark blue factory material. A half-burned matchbook from Alley's Tavern on East 96th Street, outside Harlem in white territory. Bumpy found Curtis Washington, elderly, homeless veteran who slept on a bench invisible to most people. Perfect witness. "Curtis," Bumpy sat beside him. Curtis tensed. "Mr. Johnson, I don't want trouble. You'll get money and protection. Tell me what you saw." Curtis leaned closer. 5 white men, 5:30 before sunrise, sat by that tree smoking, talking about teaching some uppity Columbia Negro a lesson. "Namus, just one. Tall one with dark hair, others called him Danny." "Danny what?" "Didn't catch last name, but heard where they were going. Alley's Tavern. Said they always celebrate their work there." Bumpy handed Curtis $200. "You never saw anything. Understand?" Curtis nodded, money disappearing. He left quickly. Bumpy called Joey O'Brien, bartender at Alley's who owed favor. "Joey, I need information. Group of white men came in early celebrating. I need names." 3 hours later, got them. 5 guys, 7:30 this morning, drunk and bragging about taking care of Harlem business. Names: Danny Morrison, Rick Sullivan, Lou Bennett, Frank Dorsey, Charlie Ross. Regular customers? "Yeah, every other Friday night. Back room with 10 other guys. Real secretive. Boss thinks it's some kind of club." "What kind?" "The kind wearing white hoods." By 8 p.m. September 16th, Bumpy had complete file. Addresses, work schedules, families, routines, weaknesses. He called his 4 most trusted soldiers. Illinois Gordon, Willie Lee Jackson, Marcus Cole, James Quick David. 5 names. Bumpy slid files across his desk. "They lynched Thomas. Now they pay. 7 days, 5 men. Each learns what they took from my sister in Harlem." He distributed assignments, surveillance, equipment, planning. This would be surgical precision, not random violence. "When we finish these 5, we burn their entire operation. Every KKK cell member disappears. They wanted Southern terror in Harlem. We'll teach them Harlem doesn't terrorize easily. Document everything. Photographs, evidence. If anyone questions our methods, we'll show exactly why these men paid." Danny Morrison worked at Murphy's Auto Repair, lived alone with garage where he worked on cars. September 17th, 8 p.m. Danny was bent over an engine when his world ended. 3 men entered silently. Danny didn't recognize them before one hand covered his mouth, arm twisted his wrist behind his back. They bound his hands with rope identical to what he'd used on Thomas. Willie Lee threw rope over garage ceiling beam. Danny's eyes widened in terror. "You know what you did," Willie said calmly. "You know why we're here." They placed noose around Danny's neck, hoisted him slowly, letting him feel constriction, experience suffocation, panic. After 30 seconds, they lowered him, allowing gasping hope for mercy. They lifted him again. 3 times they repeated this, teaching Danny exactly what Thomas endured in final 4 minutes. On the 4th lift, they left him hanging. Willie photographed everything. Evidence justice was served. When Danny's wife found him next day at 6 p.m., note pinned to chest. 1 down, 4 to go. You knew your place. Now you're in it. Harlem remembers Thomas Johnson. Rick Sullivan heard about Danny, became careful locking doors, varying routine, but still had to work. Returned home to garage with tools. September 18th, Rick came home 5:30 p.m. to repair broken lawnmower. Didn't notice earlier entry, faint gasoline smell, emergency window nailed shut from outside. Rick worked 20 minutes before hearing movement. Turned seeing gasoline spreading across concrete from overturned can he hadn't touched. Understanding dawned. Rick ran for door locked outside, spun toward window nails held firm, panic rising, grabbed wrench, pounded door, then saw it sliding through mail, slot, lit match. "No!" Rick screamed. Match dropped into gasoline, garage exploded in orange flame. Rick threw himself at door desperately. Wood, splintered, 3rd impact, tumbled onto driveway, completely engulfed. Neighbors ran with blankets, beat out flames, called ambulance. Rick survived barely. 60% 3rd-degree burns, face melted beyond recognition, hands fused, 8 months hospitalized, lifetime constant agony, unable to work or have normal existence. Fire department found note on mailbox. 2 down, 3 to go. You burned crosses terrorizing families. Now you understand fire. Thomas felt this pain too. Lou Bennett loved hunting, outdoor. Told wife he needed escaping city after hearing about Danny and Rick. Marcus Cole and Quick Davis had been following 2 days. trees, anticipating moves. September 19th, Lou drove 3 hours upstate to favorite hiking spot, walking an hour when first heard them footsteps behind, always out of sight. Lou turned repeatedly, saw only trees, continued, but footsteps matched pace. When he walked faster, they did too. Then came the voice, distant, echoing. Lou Bennett. Lou froze, blood turning ice. You helped murder Thomas Johnson. Voice seemed everywhere, trees, ground, inside his head. Lou ran, sprinting off trail deep into wilderness. 3 days, Lou wandered, while Marcus and Quick took turns following at distance, making sound, never allowing rest or safety. Every sleep attempt, he heard the voice. Every stream found, glimpsed movement. Every moment alone, footsteps rustled behind. Third day, Lou was broken, dehydrated, delirious, talking to trees, begging Thomas's spirit forgiveness. Search parties found him September 22nd, wandering circles, traumatized beyond medical explanation. No injuries beyond dehydration, no drugs, just psychological damage. So complete Lou spent following near a psychiatric facility, still hearing voices. In clenched fist, note 3 down, 2 to go. You hunted boy like prey, now you know terror. Woods remember everything. Frank Dorsey, terrified after witnessing 3 friends' destruction 5 days, moved family to hotel, believing safer away from home. Illinois Gordon had been surveilling 6 days, knew exactly where relocated. September 20th, 2 a.m., Frank's house erupted flames. Fire trucks arrived minutes later, structure fully engulfed. Gasoline poured around foundation, windows broken, feeding oxygen. By containment, nothing remained. Everything. Frank owned family photographs, children's toys, wife's jewelry, decades memories reduced to ash. Fire chief found Frank at hotel. Mr. Dorsey, complete loss. This was definitely professional arson. Frank simply nodded, expecting it. On charred mailbox, note 4 down, 1 remaining. You destroyed family's future. Now you comprehend loss. 1 more debt collecting. Charlie Ross, sole survivor, watched 4 friends methodically destroyed 6 days. Knew absolutely his turn arrived. September 21st, 5:30 a.m. Desperate decision. Drive police station, confess everything, accept imprisonment as preferable to whatever Bumpy planned. Started toward 28th Precinct, didn't notice following vehicle until boxed in quiet street 3 blocks from safety. Illinois Gordon stepped out, walked to window. Get out, Charlie. Please. I'm turning myself in. I'll confess everything. Get out. Charlie emerged, shaking leg. I'm sorry. God, so sorry. Never wanted doing it. Danny forced us. Danny's dead. I know. Please, let me disappear. I'll leave New York forever. Illinois produced photograph. Thomas Johnson smiling Columbia sweatshirt. His name was Thomas, 19 years old, wanted being lawyer, and you put rope around his neck. Charlie sobbed. I'm sorry. So sorry. Sorry doesn't resurrect dead. Illinois leaned closer. Here's what's happening. You're not going prison, not fleeing California. You're going warehouse, 98th Street. What? No, I can't. You will, because you're delivering ultimatum to your KKK friends. Tonight, 9 p.m., all 15 vote. Disband and leave New York, or stay and face what Danny, Rick, Lou, Frank experienced. They'll never leave. Some will want fighting. Perfect, because if they vote staying, we'll burn warehouse with all inside, and NYPD will call it accident, just like they labeled Thomas's lynching suicide. Illinois returned photograph. 2 choices, Charlie. Convince people disbanding or die with them. No other options exist. 9 p.m., September 21st. 15 men gathered warehouse East 98th Street, complete KKK cell. Charlie recounted everything. Danny's execution, Rick's burns, Lou's psychological destruction, Frank's total loss. They've given ultimatum, Charlie announced, voice shaking. Disband tonight. Leave New York, or they'll burn building with us inside. Some laughed dismissively. One colored gangster threatening 15? He's bluffing. Others weren't convinced. 5 men destroyed 6 days. Maybe we should consider what? Retreat? We're KKK. We don't surrender anyone. Argument escalated, voices rising. Finally voted. 10 chose staying, fighting. 5, including Charlie, voted disbanding. 5 departed immediately. You're making fatal mistake, Charlie warned Dorr. Let them come, replied remaining man. We'll be ready. Charlie drove straight bus station, bought California ticket. Outside warehouse, hidden shadows across street, Bumpy Johnson and 4 soldiers watched departures. 15 went in, 5 came out, Illinois observed. Then 10 burned, Bumpy replied coldly. 11:45 p.m., assault commenced. Willie Lee and Marcus positioned opposite sides, each carrying 3 Molotov cocktails. Quick covered back exit. Illinois secured front. Bumpy observed across street. 11:47 p.m., first incendiary bottle crashed window. Followed immediately 5 more. Warehouse erupted flame. Men inside screaming, running for exits they discovered blocked. Illinois had chained front door during meeting. Rear door opened briefly. 3 escaped severe burns. Traumatized. Broken. Sufficient. 7 died inferno. Trapped inside. Burned alive. Fire department's official report. Accidental, improper, flammable materials storage. NYPD investigation closed 48 hours. No suspects, charges. Detective Walsh read report, added files, never mentioned again. September 23rd, KKK cell Harlem obliterated. 5 Thomas Johnson lynching participants paid. Danny Morrison executed. Rick Sullivan permanently disfigured. Lou Bennett psychologically shattered. Frank Dorsey financially ruined. Charlie Ross exiled forever. 10 additional voting state fights. 7 dead, 3 scarred survivors. Never forgetting Harlem's lesson. Remaining KKK members throughout New York disbanded immediately. Burned robes, destroyed records, disappeared anonymous civilian life. Message delivered clearly: Harlem protects children. Touch them, pay everything. Over 3,000 attended Thomas Johnson's funeral Abyssinian Baptist Church. Ruth insisted, casket closed wanted, remembering Thomas alive. Brilliant, full promise for stolen future. Bumpy stood beside sister throughout service, face revealing nothing while eyes carried unbearable weight. As casket lowered earth, Bumpy placed items top. Thomas photographed Columbia sweatshirt, holding law books, smiling hope. 5 additional photographs. Danny's execution, Rick's melted features, Lou's psychiatric breakdown, Frank's destroyed home, warehouse consuming victim's flame. Beneath note, Thomas, they all paid. Every man touching you, every man enabling them. Harlem delivered justice. Rest peacefully, nephew. Your mother protected. Community secure. This will never happen again. Promise. Uncle Bumpy. Ruth examined photographs, placed hand Bumpy's arm. Is it finished? It's finished. Did they comprehend? Did they feel my pain? Bumpy looked sister infinite sadness. Every single one now understands loss, understands agony, understands what means having everything stolen. Ruth nodded slowly. Good. She placed flower casket. My baby wanted being lawyer, fighting injustice courtroom. I know, but courts failed him. Police failed him. Entire system failed him. I know. Ruth looked directly Bumpy. So you became his justice? Yes, thank you. They stood together as casket disappeared, earth, 3,000 people. Harlem said farewell, lawyer. They would never have bright future racism extinguished. 1,963. 17 years later, reporter asked Bumpy Johnson about Thomas. September 1,946. Rumors persist. You were responsible deaths. Attacks 12 men. September 1,946. Men allegedly connected nephew's murder. Comment: Bumpy was 61. Still sharp, dangerous, carrying weariness youth never comprehend. My nephew wanted being lawyer. Believed fighting injustice legal systems, courtrooms, proper channels. And you? I believed law too. Until law classified nephew's lynching suicide. Until police filed away without investigation. Until system Thomas trusted failed completely. So you took justice's own hands? I didn't take anything. Justice was owed. Courts wouldn't deliver, so came elsewhere. But doesn't that make you... Make me what? Like men lynched 19-year-old being black educated? Like police covered up? Like system failing black families since country's founding? Reporter remained silent. Want knowing if I have regrets? I regret necessity. Regret that 1946, 1 year after fighting fascism overseas, we still battled terrorism home. I regret Thomas died believing system would protect. But those men got exactly what gave. They took lives taken from them. They destroyed futures. Their futures destroyed. That's not revenge. That's balance. Bumpy rose. Interview concluded. One final thing. After September 1946, KKK never operated Harlem again. Not once. 17 years. Know why? Because sometimes only deterrent terror is certainty terror. Will be answered. That's not criminal behavior. That's being what law should have been. Reporter never published interview, but story endured, passed through Harlem like legend, warning, promise. Touch Harlem's children, Harlem touches back. Not lawyers, courtrooms, but something older, more final. Thomas Johnson wanted being lawyer. His uncle became his justice. 5 men killed him, 10 supported them, learned what justice looks like when systems fail. 7 days, 12 men destroyed. One message, echoing generation. Harlem protects its own. The aftermath became Harlem's defining moment. Words spread. Bumpy Johnson had dismantled an entire KKK cell in 1 week with calculated precision. The 5 direct participants each paid prices tailored to their crime. Danny Morrison, who tied the noose, died by hanging. Rick Sullivan, who dragged Thomas to the tree, learned what burning felt like. Lou Bennett, who hunted Thomas like an animal, experienced being prey. Frank Dorsey, who destroyed Thomas's future, lost everything. Charlie Ross chose cowardice over conscience. 10 additional KKK members voting to continue terror discovered some fires consume everything. 7 died in warehouse inferno. 3 escaped with scars. Most significant was what didn't happen afterward. For 17 years following September 1946, no organized hate group dared establish Harlem operation. Thomas's lawyer dreams died on that oak tree, but his death catalyzed proof communities could protect themselves when institutions failed. The lesson lives on. Sometimes justice wears badge and carries gavel. role. Sometimes it wears three-piece suit and carries absolute determination, ensuring innocence never again sacrificed to hatred. Touch Harlem's children at your own risk. That message, written in fire across 7 September days, has never been forgotten.